This video was originally supposed to be the Made in Heaven video, but, well, an unexpected change has happened, and now I'm going to be reviewing the brand new Chariot Requiem and everything that you need to know about it. Chariot Requiem is the new Requiem evolution of Silver Chariot. In order to use Chariot Requiem, you first need Silver Chariot, obviously, which is, I think, like a 7% chance for an arrow. And then all you need is the Requiem obtained indicator to be true, which means if it isn't, you need to find and use a Requiem arrow. Then, once that is done, you simply hit B in order to become Chariot Requiem. I'm not joking, you literally just become the stand. Now, onto the stats. Chariot Requiem stats literally do not exist. Like, the ability menu just bricks itself if you try and check this thing's stats. Now onto the moveset. Chariot Requiem has a few passive effects alongside with a few attacks. The most passive effects of Chariot are based on the size of the circle that you see surrounding you. One passive, which I'm hoping isn't an actual passive for this thing, is that this change is permanent until you leave and rejoin the server. You cannot deactivate Chariot Requiem, and if you swap it out with any other ability and then swap back, it'll immediately become Requiem. The other passives are based on the circle that surrounds you. The starting size is a body swap passive. Anyone caught in the circle upon a Chariot Requiem first spawning will be put into a 2-second sleep state. Those affected by it are tagged, and will therefore swap places and avatars with another tagged player after a short time. The second passive activates when the ring shrinks a bit. This passive activates the stand self-attack ability, meaning that most players who walk into this ring will have their stand suddenly turn against their users. The final passive is active when the ring shrinks to about a foot around the user. Anyone who stands in this ring for more than 2 seconds will become a non-hostile husk, causing those affected to be unable to do anything whatsoever until they either die or rejoin, and most of the time, you'll have to rejoin because the new respawn button just bricks itself when you become a husk. Now onto the attacks. The click attack isn't really too special, it's just a little slash combo done with the arrow, that's about it. The Q move allows the user to summon and desummon the passive effect ring. Summoning it back in will cause the ring to return to its starting size. However, the first ring passive will be completely and totally bricked, essentially causing the player to have to respawn anyways if they actually want the passives to be reset. The E barrage is a pretty flashy, flailing attack with the arrow that deals a decent amount of damage, I guess. The air attack is a strong strike with the other hand that also deals a decent amount of damage. The T attack is one of the most useful moves on the stand. Why? Because it's one of the only two moves that allow the player to move faster than 1 inch per decade. Hitting T will cause the user to charge forward in the direction they're facing. Anyone in the way will be slapped back away from the user. Now here's one downside with this T move. You cannot change directions while you're actually within this charge state, and you can only change directions once you're finally out of it. The Y attack is a move that apparently can only be used once per life, at least that's what I'm assuming. Hitting Y will cause the effect ring to turn red. What happens to anyone in the ring when this happens? I don't know. Is there any information on what it's supposed to do? I mean, yeah, but it doesn't explain the once per life cooldown on it. The F attack can only be done to players that are below 30% health. Players who are hit by this move and meet the HP requirement will be turned into a hostile husk for a few seconds. Hitting B will allow the user to move slightly faster for about 5 seconds. Other than that, it really doesn't do much. So in conclusion, Chariot Requiem is very confusing. There's very little info on how it functions, and some of its moves just don't even work, or they just break upon using them. It's essentially permanent until you leave the server. It definitely could use a bit more fixing, a slight rework, and the ability to switch back to Silver Chariot. So overall, like, rate Chariot Requiem a 5 out of 10. It's just an average stand. It's not really the best.